Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Titan Sports. I'm Francisco Molina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Rosette.
Good to see you. I'm Segovia.
And I'm Colin Costigan. We're here to get the ball rolling to provide you with your weekly sports updates. Welcome to Titan Sports.
The New York Jets' plans were to contend for the Super Bowl when they signed Aaron Rodgers. Their hopes were thrown into a blender when Rodgers went down with a torn Achilles injury in the first game of early September. Rodgers talked about potentially making a return in the playoffs if the Jets were able to make a run in the postseason. The Jets currently sit with the record of 1-2 and are scrambling to find a quarterback, with the team struggling to find rhythm under backup quarterback Zach Wilson. And the Jets' offense, they rank nearly bottom of every major offensive category. Many believe that the Jets' roster is ready for a championship run with the right quarterback under center. Wilson ranks near the bottom in every major category, including passing, and is in the bottom of all 34 qualified quarterbacks. The Jets recently signed veteran quarterback Trevor Siemian to back up Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers recently called out the team while on the Pat McAfee show, stating that the team, quote, needs to grow up a little bit, end quote, and rally as a team in order to make a postseason run.
Have you ever heard a home team booed by their home fans after a big win? Well, it occurred this past Sunday during the Miami Dolphins' 70-20 blowout victory against the Denver Broncos at Hard Rock Stadium. The Dolphins fell just 2 points shy of tying the NFL record for the most points scored in a single game. After this win, the Miami Dolphins officially became the third team in NFL history to score 70 or more points in a regular season game. Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel pulled back rather than making one final push for the NFL record for the most points. When inside the Broncos' 25-yard line, the Dolphins kneeled out the clock on fourth down, choosing sportsmanship over the NFL scoring record. The Dolphins fans in the stadium, however, booed the team.
Earlier this week, McDaniel said in the preparation for the Broncos matchup that despite their 2-0 start, the team has to clean up some things. During the post-game conference, McDaniels questioned why he didn't go after the NFL record, to which he responded, there was a timetable record that was cool, but the message was I thought it would send how do things. That's not how I'm about. Although they don't break the NFL record, the Miami Dolphins set a franchise record.
In other football news, the Colorado Buffaloes are being led by former NFL player Deion Sanders. Recently, they have been the talk of college football. The Buffaloes were riding a wave of confidence with claiming 3 straight victories to open the new season. Colorado Buffaloes suffered their first defeat of the college football season on Saturday when they faced the Oregon Ducks. After a 3-0 start in their season, the Buffaloes came crashing back to earth this past Saturday in a 42-6 loss to the Oregon Ducks at Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. The Ducks scored 34 points by the end of the second quarter against the much-hyped Colorado Buffaloes. The Ducks quarterback Bo Nix put together a very strong performance for his Heisman Trophy resume, passing for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game. The Ducks went above and beyond, proving themselves apart from the rest of the college football world.
Oregon's blowout win against the Colorado Buffaloes was a statement, and it was very loud and clear. Ducks coach Dan Lanning delivered a post-game interview after the huge win by saying, quote, we were prepared for a battle. It didn't end up being a battle. I'm glad we got to put Oregon in the light it deserves to be in, end quote.
Switching over to basketball, at the start of the offseason, NBA All-Star Damian Lillard demanded a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers, the team that drafted him, where he became the face of the franchise for more than a decade. The 7-time All-Star got his wish and was traded in a 3-team deal to the Milwaukee Bucks, where he will be teaming up with Giannis, with one of the top players in the record of Giannis Antetokounmpo.
In this blockbuster deal, the Phoenix Suns, Portland Trail Blazers, and Milwaukee Bucks made moves that will change the landscape of their respective franchises for the near future. For the Trailblazers, they received Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, and Toumani Camara, as well as the Bucks' 2029 unprotected first-round pick, alongside the Bucks' unprotected pick swaps for 2028 and 2030. The Suns will receive Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. Following the news, Lillard went out on X and stated, quote, the casuals won't be addressed. but the Trailblazers fans and the city of Portland that I truly love will be, and they will be addressed. Truthfully, stay tuned, excited for my next chapter, and he mentioned the Bucks in this tweet, end quote.
Lillard just came off the best season where he finished third in NBA points per game, averaging 32.2 points. He tied Cleveland Cavaliers guard Donovan Mitchell for the most points scored in a single game last season, with 71 against the Houston Rockets on February 26th. In addition, Lillard passed the former guard Clyde Drexler for the all-time points scored as a Trailblazer.
The Los Angeles Dodgers are poised to make a run at the World Series. The team was crowned NL West champions earlier this month. The team will run away with the division, with the NL West rivals, the Giants, being eliminated from playoff contention and the Padres barely fighting for a wild card spot. The team will have to make run with a shaky starting pitching rotation. Clayton Kershaw remains as the team's ace pitcher, but injuries to Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May and Julio Urias' ongoing suspension derailed the starting rotation that Dodgers manager Dave Roberts had anticipated would be there in October. The Dodgers will have to choose between Bobby Miller, Lance Lynn, Ryan Pepiot, Ryan Yarbrough, or Aramis Sheehan to be a part of their postseason rotation, with 3 of those pitchers making their debut within the last year in Miller, Sheehan, and Pepiot.
The Dodgers at the plate have been led by stars Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman all year, with Betts making a strong run at the National League MVP. The team ranks in the top 3 for batting average, home runs, and hits. They hope some bats on the bench will come in clutch, like veterans Chris Taylor, David Peralta, Kike Hernandez, and Ahmed Rosario. A lot surrounds the Dodgers as they head into the postseason after a colossal failure in the divisional series against the NL West rivals, the San Diego Padres. Many debate whether the team has massively underachieved, winning only 1 World Series title despite dominating the division for the last decade. Another headline to watch for heading into the postseason is the potential retirement of star pitcher Clayton Kershaw. He has pondered retirement for the last couple of seasons, so questions surrounding Kershaw's retirement will only add more fuel to the fire for fans in Los Angeles looking for another title at Chavez Ravine.
All right, stay tuned for our roundtable discussion coming in next after the break.
Welcome back to our roundtable discussion. All right, so I'd first like to start off with the Jets. I mean, obviously Zach Wilson has underperformed this year. What do you think the Jets should do in their near future?
They're in the worst situation that they could possibly think of. They had invested all their trades, all their assets to get Aaron Rodgers. They got him. What happened? First game, first quarter of the season, he goes down. And we try to give Zach Wilson the benefit of the doubt, but after a couple games, I don't see any future with him. But they don't have any money to spend either, right? So in this situation, yes, you can trade for someone maybe like a Jameis Winston who's a backup right now, or you can go out of your way and sign a Carson Wentz. In my opinion, they just need to find someone that isn't Zach Wilson for the rest of the season.
And they did. Trevor Siemian from the practice squad from the Bengals. And you see with the franchise, everybody else, Hall of Famers, anything but Wilson will be fine for them. Once Wilson is out the field, then it's a parade for them. In the past 2 games, Wilson started with 1 touchdown only and a couple of yards. But yeah, it's really going to be an interesting story to see how Robert Saleh handles the whole situation, because the media and everybody is breathing down his neck.
Yeah, I think after that Monday night game on September 11th, when they came back against the Bills and Zach Wilson showed some hope, he gave the Jets fans some false hope. They were kind of like, we have our guy, but the 2 games since then, he hasn't done well at all. And so 2 names I was thinking of is a name on the free agency market, who's Matt Ryan, the former Falcons and Colts quarterback who had 10 straight Falcons seasons with over 4,000 plus yards. And he had an off year last year with the Colts and he ended up getting benched. But I mean, giving a guy like him a chance to really just hand the ball off and be more of a game manager than Zach Wilson is. Or another guy is Gardner Minshew, who right now is the backup for the Colts, who since Anthony Richardson got injured is 2-0, nearly 400 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. So you can go big or you can go with just a backup around the league like Minshew, who's been solid. But I mean, you want to have a chance to have a solid team around this Jets defense who's very solid. So if they bring any quarterback in, like you said, that's just not Zach Wilson, I feel like they'll have a chance at making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And in talking about other quarterbacks, just note about Wilson, he's so far this season, he's thrown for 467 yards, 2 touchdowns with 4 interceptions, and he has a quarterback rating of 27.1, which is 33rd. And mind you, there's only 32 teams with starting quarterbacks. Right. So that's just to give you an idea of how bad he's been this year. So, I mean, to me, I feel like it's fairly obvious that the Jets need to move on.
And also, the trade deadline is 4 weeks away, and we'll see if they get something done because the trade deadline is on Halloween. So what a perfect time to be a New York Jet fan. Halloween, new quarterback, so we'll see how it goes.
No, and just thinking about moving on to another NFL team that really surprised us is like the Dolphins, obviously winning 70-20. Had a chance at the record. All they needed was a field goal. They were in field goal range, decided to take a knee, go more sportsmanship. Do we think they should have gone for the NFL record in that situation?
I don't know. I look at the situation, and I don't think it really made much of a difference. They already were beating the team by 50 points. I don't think beating the record would have made any more of a statement. I think that was a coach's decision. However, I do think they deserve it if they wanted to go for it. I mean, the Miami Dolphins have surprised all of us, especially with Tua Tagovailoa. He's my pick for MVP as of right now in this short season. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the bigger deal is beating a team by 50 points in Miami. No one saw that coming.
Yeah, there were still 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they were up 70-20 already. They had the backup quarterback in, and he's still throwing touchdown bombs. But I'd have to say, from a coach's perspective, I think for him it's more of a sportsmanship thing. But I'm sure those players that were playing hard on the field would have liked to have their name attached to the record. But I think overall it's not a bad thing. I mean, Mike McDaniel is still showing respect, I guess, even though you're up by 50. And if anything, it's more of like a sort of a boss move. Like, we could have hit the record on you guys, but we decided not to. So I like the move.
On top of that, he said in the post-game speech, he said, this is not our standards, so they have higher ceiling. And plus, he reminded his guys, it's week 3, it's early in the season, so don't get your hopes up. But overall, great win. And, yeah, I think he just did it out of respect for Champagne and the Broncos because it looked like a high school game out there, if you know what I mean.
And now moving on to college football, Colorado. I mean, we got to talk about that. It was a really humbling loss. Do we really still think that they're a legit team after such a humbling loss like this?
I think it's a difficult situation because we all bought into the Coach Prime hype, right? I mean, Fox, all the major networks, ESPN, they were all at Colorado in that rivalry game against Colorado State. But look at the situation. I've been following Coach Prime since he was at Jackson State. And one of the things is that he brings in viewership. He brings in money. He brings in the attention, right? And many coaches were asking him, a lot of analysts were asking him, Coach Prime, why don't you have Jackson State play against these top Division I schools? And his response was flat out, we don't want to get embarrassed. So he knows that the difference in play with his team that he had. Now, this is a very unique situation because the Pac-12 is the best it's been in years. So it's not like he had an option. Had he been in a different conference, I think Coach Prime wouldn't have even wanted to play against the Oregon or a USC back-to-back games, right? But just because Colorado happens to be in the same conference in the year that they've had, where so many of the Pac-12 teams are ranked, it is what it is. These teams are just out athletic. They're way more athletic. They're way more prepared. And it's his first season, so it's expected to come.
Yeah, speaking about preparedness, Oregon was prepared in all phases of the game, especially their defense, man-to-man coverage, blitz on Shador. And it really showed how Oregon's head coach post-game speech really fired them up. And I don't know if you guys saw, Oregon just posted a video on Monday about all the banter that Colorado was doing. And I think that was a perfect cherry on top for the Oregon and Colorado storyline.
Yeah, I think that the Buffaloes are still a legit team. I think that it just showed that there are levels, like you said. I think a lot of people attributed this like Deion Sanders coming to Colorado with them already being like one of the best teams, and like of course they have all the hype, but the truth is like they're just not like a top 5, top 10 team yet, which Oregon is a top 10 team, and so I think that's what adds a lot of motivation to teams that are playing Colorado. They're like, these guys have all the hype, but we're a better team. So like that's why I was fine with the Oregon coach's speech, because he's kind of like, we're a better team, but they're getting all the press. Like, we're gonna go out and beat them, and they did. So I think Colorado is still a solid team. I think Shador is currently injured, so is Shiloh, and Travis Hunter's out, so could be bad this weekend against USC with Caleb Williams. Potential Heisman candidate again for a second year in a row, but I think they'll still be a solid team. And I think it'll more so take a couple more years, maybe 2 or 3 more, for them to be championship contenders, but I think they're still a solid team for now.
It'll be really interesting to see how they match up against USC this week. And now, speaking of something that's really interesting, I know we were all excited about the Dame trade. So Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks, not a lot of people saw it coming. And a lot of talk is going to be like with him and Giannis. They both they need the ball a lot of the time to score. And how do you think, like, between the two of them, that they'll be able to work together and find that chemistry?
See, you brought up how the chemistry is going to work. And, for example, Shaq and Kobe. It didn't work at the start, but Phil Jackson had a way. And look at multiple championships in LA. And I think whoever's head coach in Milwaukee is going to have a tough task with that.
Yeah, I think this is like very exciting as an NBA fan. I think when you think about the pick and roll possibly between Dame and Giannis, if someone goes under the screen, Dame will pull a step back 3, and if they go over the screen, then he'll drive an alley-oop it to Giannis. I think the potential for the Bucks now is amazing. I think also another thing, probably the most important factor is Chris Middleton. I think at the end of last year, he got back to his normal self like he was in the finals a couple years ago. If he can be healthy and get back to himself averaging like maybe 15, 20 points and still be effective, on top of Dame and Giannis already, that combo is very scary. So I think Chris Middleton is the key. Now, it does hurt them a lot to lose Drew Holiday. When we talk about defensive-wise, Holiday is like miles above Lillard when it comes to defense, but I think they went for like the guy that can drop 40 on any given night. He can drop, like he got 71 last season, which is insane. And so I think that overall this is a good move for the Bucks and definitely puts them at the top for me in the Eastern Conference.
I think you said it best. The biggest question is how their defense is going to react to this new season, right? I know they're going to have a top offensive power, but the question is how much of an impact will it be on their defense, right? And on the Eastern Conference as well. So we'll see how that goes, but I still have the Boston Celtics over them. That team looks a lot. I still have them. I know a lot of people can disagree with that, but I don't think the chemistry is going to be a big problem between Giannis and Damian Lillard. They look like they seem like to be in a mature part of their career. Dame, this is his last chance to really get a championship. Yeah. And the Bucks had a lot of pressure on them because they had Giannis's contract is on the clock. So they need to figure out what they were going to do to make sure to keep their superstar happy.
And also, that new NBA rule, is that going to affect Giannis and Dame's playing time together? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up the defense, though, because I actually have seen a lot of critics, people who don't think it's going to work, saying that they're easily going to get bounced out in like the first or second round, which I thought was interesting because you think about Drew Holiday, he was actually very underrated on defense. A lot of people are forgetting about that, and Dame is an offensive player. I mean, sure, he can play defense, but that's not what he's known for. Everything that he's always been has been on the offensive side of the ball. So it'll be really interesting to see how like their defense is able to adjust following like their trade. And speaking of something that's going to be really interesting, the Dodgers' postseason run this year. We all know that their rotation is really depleted this year. You had mentioned it. Do you think their bullpen is going to be able to come through? I know they got guys like Yarborough who have been really helpful for them in that back end. Kershaw looking like he might be a back end bullpen due to his injuries. How do we think that's going to work?
I don't see them going that far in the postseason, to be honest with you guys. It seems like it's been a really off year for the Dodgers. However, the Dodgers are known to disappoint their fans. And here's the situation.
100%.
They don't have the pressure and the expectations that we saw last year. Last year, they broke their record, right? Yeah. Everyone is expecting World Series or bust like they have for the past couple of years. This year, the talk around town, no one's really expecting it. So perhaps, maybe this can be a Cinderella run for them where the pressure is off of them. No one's expecting them to go far, and maybe they can surprise all of us. But I don't see them going that far.
Yeah, I think the pressure is going to be on the rookie pitching staff. All the rookies in the lineup and in the rotation, how are they going to contribute to the team? Because as a rookie at mid stage, I don't know, they might have some missed opportunities, but hopefully the best will happen for them.
I don't know. I think what you said about them not having as much pressure, I think for any other team that would be the case, but the Dodgers, just like their fans in general, since they are such a storied franchise, I feel like that pressure for them is always going to be there, just a fan thing. But I am sadly a Yankees fan myself. We're not looking great this season. I'm just excited to see if the Dodgers are going to be able to put it together in the in this playoff run. I know the Braves are like the favorite right now, but they've also been a team that has been known like last season to get upset. So I'm excited to see potential Braves versus Dodgers NLCS matchup.
It'll be really interesting to see how this turns out in the postseason. All right, Titans, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Colin Costigan.
It's been a pleasure. I'm Francisco Molina.
Thank you for watching. I'm Noah Segovia.
And I'm Justin Rosette. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter if you already haven't at CSUF Titan Sports to keep you updated on all things sports.